views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello and welcome to Bello's Fashionistas Home Edition. I am your host, Fleriser Bello. It is a pleasure to have you join us on this beautiful afternoon. We trust that you and your loved ones are well and staying safe. The Hispanic Star Hub represents an unparalleled collective effort to create a platform to showcase and amplify the contributions of the Hispanic community to the United States, not only as an integral part of the American culture, but also as an undeniable force shaping its future. In today's Bello's Fireside Chat, we welcome External Affairs at ComEd and the leader of the Hispanic Star Hub in Chicago. Please join me in welcoming Latina trailblazer and Mexicana Lizbeth Ramirez. Lizbeth, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
It is a pleasure to have you at Bello's Fashionistas TV. Lizbeth, tell us about yourself and what it is that you do.
As you said, I'm Mexicana before anything else, right? I was born in Mexico and I came to the US at 8 years old. I live in Chicago. I resided in Chicago all my life. But on a professional level, I decided to go into politics, and I've been in politics since I was 22 years old. So at that point, it would be 5 years right now. It's over 12 years now that I've been in politics. I worked in the community through Chicago and the suburbs. I really love helping the community. Civic engagement is something that drives me. It's my passion. It's why I joined politics. It's why I joined government. But, you know, it's easier said than done to change, to make a big change. But I've been trying to all along, whether it's through policy or being out in the community, helping out specifically a Latino community, especially now with COVID. And now I've had the opportunity to do that with Hispanic Star as a hub leader. So I'm very thrilled to be doing that.
What is the Hispanic Star?
Well, the Hispanic Star it's an initiative. Originally, before COVID-19, it started as a way to promote Latinos, all of us united in the United States, right? I think we work together in our own little community or locally or in the state, but this was as a way to unify us. And the star has a little circular line like the ñ in the Spanish alphabet. So it's a representation of Latinos and unifying us. I think with COVID, it took a different turn and it kind of turned into an activism. So now it's time to act, right? When the community needed us the most, it was not just a network or social media, but it was an activation of communities in need, specifically the Latino community.
Why did you join the Hispanic Star?
So I have a colleague of mine who was doing this in Houston. I'm an extrovert. I love to be out and I love to talk to people and I like to be out in the community. So with COVID, it was very hard to just be home and do nothing, right? When you see all these families struggling and especially our community struggling. So I saw a friend of mine, I think you know her, Perla Tamés, in Houston. She was doing a food drive, giving out food to the community. So I reached out to her and I asked her, how do I bring that to Chicago? So she said, you know, through the Hispanic Star, we're doing different initiatives. If you're able to fundraise and do this, we can make it happen. And so here we are, 4 events later, we have, you know, been doing all this throughout Chicago, and she's been very supportive of the work here in Chicago and helping me. And that's kind of how I started. I saw the impact she was having in Houston, and I said, I want that in Chicago. And so that's how I decided to join Hispanic Star.
Why did you become an ambassador and a leader? And what was the transition in creating the Hispanic Star hub in Chicago?
I saw the commercials that were coming up about Hispanic Star Initiative under the We Are All Human Foundation. And I said, well, I want to be part of that. Let me see what this is all about. So I joined to be an ambassador. Shortly after, it was a lot of joining efforts and meeting people from different areas in the United States. It was working out great. But I think what really kicked it to me for being a leader was when I really saw what was being done in other hubs by the leaders and what they were doing. And one of the things I had to do was not prove myself, right, but kind of what can you bring to the community? And I was able to raise $20,000 to be able to bring the food to Chicago. That was an initiative that I pushed. I think my friends and colleagues and family are like, when they call, they're afraid. Either I'm asking for money, I'm asking for volunteer time. But that's kind of what kicked it from ambassador to a leader, because I think I just wanted to take charge and do something in Chicago.
That is incredible. How were you able to fundraise $20,000?
It took me about 2 weeks, but it was an effort, of asking family, friends, folks who I know work in corporations and have the funding and the capabilities to do so. It wasn't, at first it was hard to sell, but after kind of letting them know this is what's going to be used for, what it's for, I started with $25 and then $50 and then $100. And then shortly enough, I got bigger sponsorships. Love Soldiers, who is an organization in Houston, was able to help us finish our goal of 20,000 to get a full trailer of food, over 2,500 boxes of food to the community. And so that was a big deal. It was a huge deal. Every day it was like one more, $100, $25, and that's what I kept telling people. It doesn't matter the amount, as long as it comes from the heart that you really want to help. We don't all have, the funds to be giving out $1,000 or $2,000, but if you put $25, $50, and you combine them all, it's a pot, right? It builds up to something, and that's what happened.
I'm just so fascinated to hear the story that you were able to fundraise in such a small amount of time. Tell us about the creation of the Hispanic Star Hub in Chicago.
The first event was very unique because it was the first time and I wasn't sure how things were going to play out, how things were going to go. I've been involved in the community for so long that I was able to reach out to friends and family, community activists, community organizations. Since I've known them for a while, they partner up with us. The first one we had about maybe 8 elected officials, I think, is that we had, who partner up with us to do these events. They brought in volunteers, they helped us secure the location, permits. Chicago, it's an urban city, and so we have to make sure that there's a space for us to bring the trailer, make sure there's parking spaces, remove permits. So a lot of the elected officials helped with that. They brought in some volunteers, and so it was a community effort. Once I was able to get the funds and secure that the food was coming, we were able to get more people involved. And short after that, they were asking, when's the next one, right? When is this happening again? What do we need to do? How do we make it happen? The second one, we got all the product donated for Procter and Gamble. And so we actually touched over 25 different organizations. And we also did with the Chicago Public Schools. We talked to specific teachers and they know families who were struggling. We created packages, care packages for the families that have gone a long way. And so we continue to make impact, but that's the beginning of it, was, making it happen, making it look real so that people can buy into it and actually believe that this was happening. And we were helping and making a real impact to the community.
As a creator and leader of the Hispanic Star Hub in Chicago, talk to us about the challenges faced and the success stories.
So the challenges was having people believe that this could happen, right? The first event was a lot harder, I think, than the following ones, because you had to people believe in what the Hispanic Star Initiative is and what the program is and what we were bringing to the community. But once they saw the momentum, people jumped in to support, people jumped in either financially or with time. And it's difficult. The challenges is because we're dealing with a pandemic, and not a lot of people want to be out volunteering, right? Because they're afraid for them, for their families. And as much as you want to support the community, how do you expose yourself out there, right? So that was a challenge. Slowly, I think people have lost the fear, and that we have to kind of move on with our lives, and being safe and social distancing and wearing the mask. But that was the original challenge. We are 3 hub leaders right now, strong in Chicago. So I have Jacqueline Camacho and Raul Rosas were the hub leaders here in Chicago, and then we started building up an ambassadors. We have a small team of ambassadors, but we have a huge team of volunteers. We're always ready to go when we activate for a specific program or initiative. This last weekend, we just had another one. We gave out, I want to say maybe about 3,000 bags throughout Chicago from essential products and cleaning products for families who are struggling. The Tide was a big popular item this time around. Last time, Pampers was the big item that the families were extremely grateful for to have.
How has the Hispanic Star Hub in Chicago been able to pivot and assist during the pandemic?
A crucial point of pivoting is adjusting to the changes. And the biggest change is not having that interaction, I think as Latinos have a tendency to hug, kiss, handshake. It's just in our culture. So it's hard to be out there and not being able to do that. And also, how do you expose yourself? We have a community with high diabetes, with high preconditions, and who are also more prone to get COVID-19. And so how do you get the fear out of people that it's like, it's okay, and it's okay too if you can't, right? A lot of people wanted to help. They felt the fear of coming out because their parents are older, they're in their 80s, they're 90. And so how do you do that? It's you pivot and you say, okay, whoever can help, it's great. There's other ways to help. There's other, monetary ways to help. There's different ways to join. But adjusting, I think, to everything that we're seeing, and not just only in Chicago but throughout the country, is that making sure that we're safe and making feel people that they're safe, and also ensuring that as much as we love to hug, no hugs. As much as we love to say hi to everybody, it'll be 6 feet apart. 6 feet apart. And I think people started to see that we were taking the precautions, and it helped us a lot. But I think it was adjusting to the times, adjusting to the pandemic, which is, I think, none of us have ever experienced.
We will take a quick break, and when we return, Ms. Ramirez will discuss how the Hispanic Star Hub in Chicago has been shining a light, creating an impact, and elevating the Latino community throughout the pandemic. Don't go anywhere.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at BronxNet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
Welcome back. Lizbeth, share with us how the Hispanic Star Hub in Chicago has been shining a light and created an impact in the Latino community of Chicago.
So there's many ways that we made an impact in the community. One of the biggest ones, I think, it's touching the non-for-profits. I think with everything going on with the budgets, both on the state, local level, from government not being there, they need additional resources. With them not being able to do fundraisers, normally there's galas, there's all these kinds of fundraisers that they do to fund, to bring in funds to the non-for-profits. They're not there no more, right? There's no more gatherings happening. None of that's there. So one of the things that Hispanic Star has been able to do is provide that assistance to the non-for-profits. We were able to help here in Chicago, the non-for-profits that deal specifically with adults with mental disabilities who are home, they are in a home that it's being managed by a non-for-profit, who don't have a lot of, they don't have a job, they don't have, they're exposed because they do have their preconditions, but a lot of the non-for-profits, specifically that, and specifically the ones dealing with families, I can't express how much diapers are. I didn't realize I had gold in my hands, right? Diapers were such a big deal, right? You have families with 2 or 3 kids who go to these non-for-profits who offer these services and no longer can do it. So us being able to provide these additional resources to the non-for-profits was a big deal. In addition, like we just recently had one partnership with Hornitos to kind of help small businesses. We did it in Little Village community, and we reached out to all the local businesses. We wanted, the servers, the waiters, all of our community basically who's doing the back office job, you could say that, of a restaurant, the cooking, the dishes, the waiters, to come and get support because they are being hurt. All these restaurants are being closed. They've been closed for a long time. If they reopen, if they don't have a patio outside, they can't have as much staff as they normally would. So they're struggling, and that is a way that Hispanic Star comes in to try to support. We have been able to do that, I think, in Chicago in all levels, from the residential, from helping directly a family, helping non-for-profits, and now helping small businesses.
How has the Hispanic Star Hub in Chicago been able to assist the small businesses and Latino-owned businesses of Chicago?
The small businesses, Chicago has a huge number of businesses, and whether you're in a Latino business owner, you work in a business, right? Most of the cooks are Latinos, most of the servers are Latinos. So any help that they get, you have bartenders, right? You have, it's a whole different industry, but it's a business. You have the bartenders who are not working because the bars are not open because they're all enclosed. None of them are just out in patios. So making that impact that hits home and having them understand and tell us that we just blessed their families because we brought in, a bottle of Tide, a bottle of soap, or things that sometimes you can't even find in the store, right? We were giving out masks too, in addition to these products, to keep them safe because they're in the front lines. Maybe they're not in a hospital, they're not a nurse or a doctor, but they're in the front lines because they don't have the option to work from home. They have to be out there because they need to bring food to the table. So they're the ones out there that, whether they have to go to work or not, they show up because they need the funds. So anything we do, the appreciation given back to us, it's been tremendous. And it just makes us realize how much the need is there, specifically for that community who works in the restaurant industry, I think. And I think the Latino community, I don't know the exact numbers, but I want to think it's about 70% of Latinos who are in the restaurant industry. If they're not a server, they're out in the back as a cook. And they don't have jobs right now, or if they do, it's very limited hours.
What other ways has the Hispanic Star Hub in Chicago been able to create that impact in the community?
Right now, we are trying to create new ways of what we're doing, because I think we've touched a little bit of everything, but there's so many neighborhoods. There's so many in the outskirts of Chicago. We have the town of Cicero, the town of Berwyn. We have a further part out of the central inner city of Chicago, who also is mainly a Mexican community, and they always get left out, right? They always get left out. So we're working through different initiatives that we can be doing. One thing that we're pushing right now, it's not necessarily full funding or full effort, but it's a census and getting out to vote if you're able to. You don't have to be a citizen. You don't have to be a resident to count in the census. And that's really important to our community because that's a huge portion of where they get funding for social services. So as Hispanic Star, we're not necessarily bringing you the funds, but we are pushing for the census because it's crucial for our community. And we only have tomorrow. Tomorrow's the last day, unless the order comes in and it gets extended. We don't know for how long that's going to be extended. But that's crucial because that hits home. That brings not only services, but representation. Who we have in Washington, D.C. representing us as Latinos, who we have on the state level representing us, and on the local level, right? If we don't have someone that looks like us at the table, no one's going to speak out for us. So I think it's getting that to the community and making them understand that if we're not able to bring you funds, at least we want you to push for that. And the census, it's something that it's completely unrelated to sort of bringing resources, but it is all related to having resources in your community. It depends. If your kids don't get count, your school's not going to get the funding. If you don't get count, your social agencies that you go for support or for help are not going to get the funding. So that's another way that Hispanic Star is pushing, bringing that awareness for the census. And we hope that we will bring that awareness also for voting for those of our community who can vote.
What's next for the Hispanic Star Hub in Chicago?
So we are very excited. We're working through some initiatives, but partnering up with the Chicago Board of Elections and the Illinois Board of Elections to push our community to come out to vote. And the importance of voting, right? Because sometimes we say, we have this mentality, and I know that specifically for Mexicans, we do, where it's like, oh, it doesn't count, right? My vote doesn't count, it's just one person. But if you pile up everybody who says that, it could be 100, it could be 500, it could be 1,000 people. And that's 1,000 votes that can make it or break it into an election. I specifically have a passion for that because I've worked elections. I worked for the Democratic Party in the state for a long time. So I see the impact that it has. And so my biggest thing is asking people go vote, because that makes a huge, huge difference in your community. It doesn't matter who you vote for, but just go vote, exercise your right to vote, because that's huge for any representation that we might want as a community.
How can someone join and participate as a member or leader of the Hispanic Star Hub in Chicago?
Great question, because we're always looking for more ambassadors and we're always looking for more volunteers. You can either reach out through one of the social media platforms. If that's easiest for you, send us a message and we will send you the link to sign up. But through the HispanicStar.org website, you go to Chicago, to the Chicago Hub, and then sign up as an ambassador. We will get notification that we have someone else interested, and we will surely reach out, most likely within 24 hours, because we are excited to have people come join us in these initiatives and these efforts.
For more information on the Hispanic Star Hub of Chicago, where can you be contacted?
Yeah, so we have an email address that is Chicago@HispanicStart.org. That is the email address. So it's Chicago@HispanicStart.org. And if you go to the Hispanic Star website, you'll be able to find all the hubs, and you just look for Chicago. You go on there and you should be able to get all the information for us. But at the email address, comes directly to the leader. So myself, Jackie, or Raul could answer that email account. But we also have Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So you can send us a message through any of the social media platforms.
Thank you so much, Lizbeth Ramirez, straight out of Chicago. Thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you at Bellas Fashionistas TV.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed this a lot.
Thank you for joining us today. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on social media at Bellas Fashionistas TV and our media partner at BronxNet TV. To watch more of our programming, please visit our websites at bellasfashionistas.com and our media partner at bronxnet.org. Please be safe. Have a great day.